What is up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be a bit of a different video because I'm on a 24-hour surgery shift. During our 8-week surgery block, we have 2 weeks of trauma, and during those 2 weeks, we have to do one 24-hour shift. The options for that shift are either Friday or Saturday. I picked a Saturday, which is definitely the worst option between the two. If you do a Friday, you work like your normal day and you just have to like stay an extra 12 hours. But if you do a Saturday, you are working a whole extra 24 hours or working a whole extra day. But the reason I picked that was because I missed the beginning of this week because I was in San Francisco for the conference. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. But I felt kind of bad saying to one of my classmates, like, hey, you can do the Saturday even though you worked, Monday through Friday this week. So since I missed 2 days, I'm like, yeah, I'll pick up the Saturday instead. It is a little bit different. Like I said, if I were to work a Friday, I would just come and do my normal like trauma shift, which is 5 to 5, and then I would just stay after. On the weekends, there's only like 2 to 3 residents here total. So they're looking after a lot of patients. There's 4 different teams, red, blue, green, and gold. So between those 3 residents, they have to look after all those patients where, on a normal day, there's probably like 12 residents looking after all those patients. Obviously, it's a little different. There's not a lot of scheduled surgeries on the weekends, so they have a lot more time to actually just like see patients, deal with issues, do bedside procedures, all that kind of stuff. But it's still really busy because it's a lot of people for, 3 residents. Whatever new consults come in, they have to see them. So it's definitely going to be a busy day. So like I said, I am here around 5 a.m. I'm probably going to go to the call room soon to meet the residents, and we're going to do sign out from the night team. They're just going to give us pertinent updates that happened overnight. And then I'll go with one of them, see whatever patients they were assigned to, and then I'll probably have a little bit of downtime until we get some consults or start to do different procedures. All right, so it is 8 o'clock right now. It's been a while since I checked in, but it's been a pretty crazy day. So like I said, around 6, I went up to the call room. We got sign out from the overnight resident. Then I went with one of the interns to go check up on a bunch of patients. The team that I'm technically on with trauma is the green team, and basically we take care of patients who are trauma patients with general surgery issues. So if someone gets into a car accident, maybe they have a few fractures, but they have a liver laceration or a bowel perforation or whatever, so they would get put on the green list. Anytime there's a trauma, there's always like a multidisciplinary team. If there's orthopedic stuff, there's an ortho trauma person. If there's neuro stuff, spine stuff, there's those kind of surgeons. Where we come in, like I said, is more of like the abdominal or thoracic stuff. So there's only a few patients on the green list, but I went with the resident who was checking up on them just because I was actually familiar with them, even if I wasn't like really following them this week. Maybe some of my classmates were, but I had least seen them and kind of knew their stories. So I went with the intern that saw all of those patients, and then we saw some other patients on other teams as well. So after that, we had a little bit of a break, got some coffee, and then went back to the call room to sort of debrief what everyone did and come up with more like formal plans for the day. On the weekends, there's not a lot of stuff that happens. There's not a lot of scheduled surgeries. Obviously, if something urgent or emergent happens, we have to take care of it, but a lot of it is just trying to get the patients to the next week when there's, more of a full team there. If a patient is doing really well and there's no need to keep them in the hospital, we will definitely discharge them. The name of the game is just like keeping them stable until the next week. So after running the list and kind of coming up with a plan for everyone, me and some of the other students just went to the library, which I'm sitting in right now, to study some and then just wait for stuff to pop up. I had 2 other students with me earlier today. One third year at my school who's on his sub-internship. He's actually doing our 3-year program, and he already matched into surgery at one of our hospitals, so he knows where he's going in a few months, which is really cool. He's been great, super helpful on our surgery rotation for all the second years. And I had another second year with me, one of my classmates, who was just like on a normal 12-hour shift. She's on a peds surgery elective right now, so they have to do some weekend shifts. So both of them got here when I did, and then they left around 6 when there was sign out. So now I'm all alone. But anyway, like I said, we came back here, we're just chilling. Stuff kept popping up throughout the day. Like, I went and helped get some fluid out of a chest tube so we could send it off for a culture. I helped change a wound vac, which was really interesting. Yesterday, I actually was able to scrub into a case where debrided a wound and placed a wound vac, so I was a little bit familiar with the process, but really nice. It was one resident and then all 3 of the students, so she was really good about teaching us, walking us through everything, so that was a great experience. And then probably the coolest thing that I got to see today was we placed an IJ catheter, internal jugular catheter, for a patient who is starting dialysis. So anytime someone is getting a central line, you want to get it sort of really close to the heart itself, and one of the best ways to do that is placing something in the internal jugular. It goes in here, goes right down, and sits sort of right where the right atrium starts. Like I said, the patient is going to be starting dialysis soon, and it's sort of the quickest way to get access. People who do dialysis long term will maybe get something else like an AV fistula, but in the hospital setting, the placing that sort of catheter or central line only takes like 20 minutes. So it's definitely the best option for patients who sort of need to start dialysis now. And I was honestly surprised that this was just like a bedside procedure. Because the catheter is pretty long. And like I said, it starts up here and gets all the way down into the heart, which is like down here. We have to use an ultrasound machine to sort of visualize the internal jugular. The carotid is kind of right next to it, so that's why it's really important to see it on the ultrasound machine. When you push down on a vessel on ultrasound, an artery won't really collapse because it's stiffer, stronger, but a vein will. So that's how you can kind of tell the difference between the internal jugular and the carotid, because they're right next to each other. You press on them, see which one collapses, that is what you're aiming for. So you use a needle, go into the IJ. There's a few more steps, but basically you're just trying to insert this long catheter into the patient all the way from their neck right above their heart. So that was really cool. Like I said, it only took like 20 minutes, but the fact that they do this procedure bedside, I think is so cool. That is the one thing that I am really liking about surgery, is all the things that you get to do hands-on. Obviously, like, there is the surgery itself in the OR, which is, a really special thing, but there's also a lot of bedside procedures that you have to do, whether it is chest tubes, changing a wound vac, or placing a catheter. So it's 8 o'clock right now. Around 6, we ran the list again, so we just kind of talked about all the stuff that we did today, if there was any calls for patients that's, still needed to be addressed, if there were any more consults that we had to see. So that took like 30-40 minutes. So after sign out, we grabbed something to eat real quick. I just went to the cafeteria. Then we went and saw 2 new consults, and now I'm just kind of relaxing. Alright, so it is about 2 a.m. I haven't really been doing too much. Nothing has come up. Really haven't been any traumas. There were a few traumas earlier in the day, but they were more like transfers from other hospital, just because the patient had some pretty significant injuries that that hospital didn't have the correct services. So they were transferred over here, but they weren't necessarily traumas. So yeah, nothing has really been going on. I tried to sleep a little bit, but pretty unsuccessful, because I don't have any sort of like legitimate pager. The only way I would know if there's something for me to do is if a resident just texts me, and I don't really trust myself to wake up to like a text notification. So I've been like, laying down, just like setting an alarm for every 15-20 minutes. So definitely hasn't been the most restful night, but I have been getting a lot of work done, so that's good. even though I'm gonna be super tired tomorrow, I'm probably not gonna have to do much studying because I've gotten it all done already, so that is one bright side to things. However, I have noticed that the sleep deprivation is starting to kick in. I've been doing a lot worse on my UWorld questions, so I think I should just stop that and just like review stuff, not worry about doing any practice questions at this point. I think I am gonna sign off here. Hopefully I'm not here for too much longer. Like I said, it's a very slow night, so I don't really think the residents need me around. There's 3 of them staying overnight, so I think hopefully I'll be able to go home pretty soon, get some sleep, so my Sunday isn't completely ruined. All in all, a pretty exciting day. It is crazy to think that I've been here for almost 24 hours. It really doesn't feel like that. I mean, it's crazy how fast the time flies by on surgery, especially when you're able to be in surgeries or, you know, doing procedures and stuff. It makes the time go by a lot faster. My next 2 weeks, I'm gonna be on vascular surgery, which is my elective for my surgery block. I'm really excited for it. I've heard that vascular is very interesting. A lot of the attendings are really nice. I was in one vascular case, I think my first week, and the doctor was awesome. Even though it's technically like my vascular elective, I'm just gonna be on the red team, which is thoracic and vascular. So I'll probably be able to do some thoracic cases as well, which I also find very interesting. So it should be a good 2 weeks. All right, well, that is gonna do it for today's video. If you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like below and subscribe if you wanna see videos like this in the future. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.